And one of the things I wanted just to show you is that when you work in a company, maybe you find people who want to change. Maybe you find people who do not want to embrace that change. Maybe you find people in a team that they want to change, but other people, the team, do not want to change, or teams where there is a person with high resistance to the change. Maybe they are interacting with teams that are not or are embracing those new ideas. Maybe managers, maybe the CEO does not even know what agile is. Maybe for many CEOs, I generally come across is all about the speed. Maybe they do not have a proper vision about the company. Maybe you have teams that are not IT teams, and they ask you to embrace agility. And how you do that? Well, and then, well, finally the customers. For some companies, customers are at the very end of the queue. So how we can use different techniques? And let me check if you have any questions, guys. So true describing your world. Well, welcome, welcome to the real world, guys. So that's the problem. And I'm gonna teach today something I created a long time ago, which is called the triangle of the change journey. So one of the problems we have as a change consultant, when I say change consultant, can be anyone, can be a scrum master, can be an HR, anyone trying to influence change in the company, is that how we identify the techniques that we need to use with the target group. Imagine that you go to the company tomorrow and then they tell you, okay, so I want you to help these people in this team to embrace change. One of the main issues for consultants is that it's difficult to identify which techniques to use. And that's a challenge. So I created this triangle of the change journey, which is basically based on neuroscience of change. Neuroscience of change is how the brain works when we are exposed to change. And we have a lot of research. So this framework is quite easy to understand. It does not require a lot of knowledge to understand how it works, but it guides you to try to understand which techniques you have to use, which kind of people. And then the triangle of the change journey is based on very clear concepts. This is something I also talked about in my book. And this pyramid is based on 5 different mindsets. Sometimes where I think companies, they work like a football team, me against them. So this team against the other team, competing for resources, competing for ideas, competing for many things. And when we have this kind of mentality, it's different to break it. But it's a mindset. So the change journey is based on 5 different mindsets. There is no good or bad mindset, but what the pyramid says is that we have 5 different mindsets. The closer we are to the top, the easier it is for people to change. So basically, we start with the bottom, which is far away from change. If you have people on this mindset, then you're going to need to do something very specific. The first mindset is generally people that they said, I want things to be as I say. I don't care about you. Maybe you came across someone saying these kind of things. So when people are this very at this mindset, then these kind of people see the change and the person proposing the change as the same. They do not want anything related to that person. They don't want anything related to it. They don't want to go in that direction. They want to just try to go in the direction they want, and they are not open to anything. And I imagine you came across this kind of people, and I just make sure that you understand that this is a kind of mindset. When you come across this mindset, are people who are generally afraid, consciously or subconsciously, about their position. This is the very basic level. This is a level just where there is a lot of fear, conscious or subconscious fear, where people are afraid of losing their job, losing prestige. For example, many companies. Sometimes we talk about servant leadership. And what we don't have into mind is that for many people, having a position is about having also prestige. So when we are talking about, for example, a specific position, let's say managers or any other position in the company, or leaders, sometimes becoming a servant leader, the word servant in their subconscious doesn't resound very well and doesn't give them much prestige. So when people are losing prestige or they have conscious or subconscious fears that they could lose their position in the company, people do not want to move in any direction. So when we see people that are in this mindset, it's not a good idea to teach a new framework. It's not a good idea to show PowerPoint telling them in which direction we want to go. We need to address first which fears they got. And this is something very important. When people do not want to move and they say, I want things to be as I say, I don't care about you. And when they don't care about you, as I said, they see change and the person proposing the change has the same thing. And this is very, very basic level. You need to address those fears first. And sometimes very direct questions are gonna start giving us information, but sometimes you have to read between the lines. And the first step here is to work on those people to reaffirm that they are not going to lose a position, try to see if they are not losing prestige with this new change we are doing, trying to reinforce and this prestige and try to reinforce the role and try to make sure this person feels safe. Unless you work on these areas and unless you focus on those things, you should not move to the next level with people. And what I propose is when you work and you find this kind of people, you work on the right-hand side of the pyramid, different techniques that you can use to make sure that you reinforce these areas, right? This area of making sure that people basically feel safe.